my calculations are correct, when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious
It has begun!
Calm down, Doctor. Now is not the time for fear.
Trying to misbehave.
Give them nothing, but take from them everything!
Program complete. Enter when ready.
Greetings once again, my friends, and welcome back to Geek News Movie Night, where we take a particular movie, we dissect it, we analyze it, we go over the good, the bad, and everything in between, and give our final thoughts. I am, of course, your host, Adam Mickelson, aka Drac. I hope everybody's having an awesome day or night when you're listening to this. And joining me, of course, is my lovely wife, Andrea. Andrea, today is an interesting film that you and I are going to go into, because this is technically something that I know you wanted to see, but more importantly, we wanted to see for our kids, which is kind of funny because I believe our oldest saw this before we did, didn't she?
I suppose.
I think her first or second grade teacher showed her it. And today we're talking about Disney's Encanto, which I believe was exclusive to Disney Plus. It didn't actually come out in the theaters. So at that point, obviously, we were doing this for kind of multiple goals, but we were taking care of this on the vacation anyway. So first of all, because I forgot to do this in the Far From Home review that we just barely did, let's go over a quick synopsis of what this film is about. Encanto is about an extraordinary family called the Madrigals, who live hidden in the mountains of Colombia, and we're talking the country, in a charmed place called the Encanto. The magic of the Encanto has blessed every child in the family with a unique gift. Every child except Mirabelle, who is the main character. However, she soon may be the Madrigal's last hope when she discovers that the magic surrounding the Encanto is now in danger. And that's the premise for Encanto. And unfortunately, I have to point this out because somebody else will. This was part of the whole diversity initiative that Disney has been going for, to be able to tell different kinds of stories with different kinds of heritages. In fact, before this film came Coco, a film by Pixar that I actually love. I actually discovered that on one of our vacations, and I love Coco. I thought that was actually a really great film about family values, and about being able to accept your family despite who they might be. And so Encanto, walking into this, Andrea, how did you feel about this film, just from what you'd seen of it before we had watched it?
It was a cute film. That's all I could.
That's the only thought you had walking in, because I know that we had come into like the doctor's office and seen some pieces of it, but never enough. So it was just cute, and thus you wanted to see it.
Yeah.
For me, I looked at it and went, okay, this is interesting because they already did Coco, and I liked that, so we could actually go into more Hispanic heritage. But then we actually saw the film, and now we can actually get into this. What was your take on Encanto after we had seen it? I'm going second because Andrea has that look of like, I know what you're gonna say, and like that look of like, you're gonna rip this film a new one. But go ahead, your take on Encanto. How did you feel about it when you saw it?
It was an okay film. I mean, I didn't have anything much to say on it. It's just
okay. Are you ready to be shocked?
Sure.
It was okay.
Okay.
That's like you kind of gave that look of like, I was gonna rip this film a new one, and kind of like I did with Far From Home, and really no, like I wasn't sure how I was gonna feel about it. I'd seen some clips of it in the doctor's office and seen like some of the songs and whatnot, and yeah, it's okay. It's nothing to write home about. Is it The Lion King? No, absolutely not. But that being said, let's go over a quick synopsis of the plot. Like I said, Mirabelle is the only one that doesn't have magical powers. Every one of her family has unique powers, whether it be shape-shifting, whether it be seeing the future. Foresight, I think, was one of them. Seeing the future, foresight, sorry.
Super
Controlling
strength.
the weather was one of them.
Super strength.
Super strength, kinship with animals, stuff like that. And all of them had their own door or their own room, which kind of encompasses their powers in the Encanto. And all of this is part of like an overall magic that is kind of guarding the Encanto. And so they have to, but the way that they keep the magic flowing is that they are of service to the people of the nearby village. And oh crap, what was her name? What was the grandmother's name? I can never remember it because I will have things to say about this character. Oh, I can't remember her name. I can't remember a lot of their names. I remember Mirabelle. Antonio was the young boy at the beginning of it. Alma, Pedro, Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno. No.
Let's see.
Oh, I can never remember her name.
Is it Alma?
Abuela. Yeah, it's Alma Madrigal, or Abuela is her name. So, all of this is being maintained by Abuela, who is the one who basically got the candle that holds the Encanto all together. And so she holds the family to service to the nearby villages to be able to keep the magic alive. And when we actually start the film, I believe Antonio is the youngest. He is actually about to get his Encanto, his power. And so he's worried about it because Mirabelle is the only one that doesn't have a power. And so he doesn't want to be like that because it is very, very much hinted that Mirabelle is perceived as being shamed because she doesn't have a power. Am I the only one who got that? Like, there's definitely a feeling of like, we don't like her, or she's the black sheep of the family. She's the one that makes everything wrong. And it's all because she didn't get a power.
Pretty much.
So at that point, like this is what makes everybody want to follow Mirabelle and her quest overall to discover what is going on with the Encanto. Because as things go on, the Encanto starts to show cracks in the house and thus cracks in the enchantments. And so this is the thing that Abuela has been worrying about for so long, is that this is going to be the thing that tears the family apart. And so Mirabelle, after Antonio gets his enchantment, then gets I want to say it's like a vision or something that basically, oh no, she starts to see cracks in the house is what happens. And so she starts to investigate it, which then leads her into trying to discover things about their long lost brother Bruno, who was the fortune teller. He was the one that foresaw, according to them, nothing but bad things happening. So she goes to look into Bruno and finds that Bruno had a vision of these cracks starting to show up, and Mirabelle apparently was the focus of them. We couldn't see if she was going to be the one that fixes them or the one that ultimately destroys the family. And so we're not sure what, but all we know is that Abuela and most of the family are immediately assuming she's the one that's going to bring chaos and destruction. She's going to be the one that tears them all apart. Which is, wow, that's a leap in logic, man, because I don't know about you, Andrea, but Mirabelle doesn't really give an impression that, like, she wants to tear the family apart.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, she wants them all to get along. She wants them all to get along and be together as a family. I think the only time that you can't say that is when it comes to her older sister, Giulietta, I want to say. No, Giulietta is her mom. I know that she has kinship with plants. Isabel. Here we go. Yeah, Isabel Madrigal. She's the one who can make flowers and plants bloom anywhere. And so, like, they have a little bit of a sisterly rivalry going on, but that's about it. So they start to look into it, and Abuela does not like the fact that they're looking into it because she thinks that'll bring chaos and destruction faster. And then we find out ultimately that because of how rigid Abuela has been over the many years, she's ultimately the one that kind of creates the cracks and creates the chaos and destruction because she doesn't want the family to grow apart. Because the reason that she asked for this was they were originally in the middle of a conflict of some kind, and the wish that created the Encanto was that she would be able to keep her family together with her. And so because of that, that's why the cracks start to show. When Mirabelle, all she's basically doing is trying to encourage her family members to use their powers the way that they're intended. And because of Abuela's problems, we actually start to see problems with every one of their enchantments. In fact, one of the songs that is centered around it is Louisa, who is the one that has super strength. And because she has super strength, she's not allowed to be anything but super strong. She has to be, it's almost like Hollywood is reflected in this character. She has to be strong, independent women. And she can't be weak in any way, shape, or form. And so Mirabelle is like, it's okay to show a sensitive side. Well, that makes the cracks even worse because that's going against what Abuela wants. And Isabel is actually the other one that I tended to notice fairly well, is like Abuela kind of basically wants her to keep making flowers and keep making everything pretty. And then when her and Mirabelle start to fight, she starts to notice that she can make cacti. And the cacti are beautiful to her. And so at that point, she wants to make more cacti. Oh, but that goes against Abuela, so you can't do it, right? And that's the whole premise of this whole thing. And where the family has been blaming Bruno for a lot of this stuff, what Bruno has ultimately been seeing is that, you know, we need to be able to be who we are, but also be a family kind of thing. And that ultimately is Mirabelle's power, is that she was supposed to bring the family together. And that's pretty much it. Ultimately, they overcome it, and the Encanto is restored, and they continue to help out the fellow villages and everything like that. So with that brief synopsis of the film, what did you like about this film, Andrea?
Oh, I just love it that, you know, the main character, you know, even though she didn't have a power, she still kind of always try to be optimistic and try to...
Yes, I do like that. I actually tend to like that she's the black sheep, that she's the one that doesn't have powers. Because, you know, like I said, all of the family members have it, including her mom, who can heal people with her cooking. You know, it's like the actual World of Warcraft well-fed buffs is basically what she does. And you guys cannot see the smile ear to ear from Andrea on that one. All of them have powers, but she doesn't. And she feels odd and out of place. And I just kind of sat there and went, well, but that's what makes you special in this family. You're the only one that doesn't have it, and therefore you're the only one that's freaking grounded. Considering all of the other problems that we start to see with all of the other family members. Okay, I actually do like... I like the fact of Mirabelle as well. She's also kind of a negative here, because I don't like the fact how she was portrayed as, because she's the black sheep, she's somehow bad. She's somehow causing the chaos and destruction that will bring the family to ruin. I didn't like that part, because being a black sheep of my family, I have never done such a thing. It just means that I'm a unique person in the family with my own interests, with my own feelings on matters, and my family has always appreciated it. I'm sure you can say the same thing, right, Andrea?
Yeah.
I have a weird, whacked out theory that everybody in a family is the black sheep. They all don't realize that, they feel like the black sheep, but we all are individuals, and that's a good thing. So that's kind of my issue. Like, that's my negative with her. But overall, I did like Mirabelle as a character. So just to separate from you on this, I liked Bruno. You're not supposed to like him in this film, but I liked him. Because if there was ever such a thing as a true black sheep in this film, it is Bruno. Because Bruno, like, they literally have a song, "We Don't Talk About Bruno." Because all of his predictions that would happen always ended up bad. And thus he became given this black mark in the family that he only ever saw bad futures. If you triggered his power, you were, like, calamity was coming your way. And considering that he was very worried about that, because that's what he noticed too, I ultimately like that in a way, halfway through the film, he is redeemed. Because it's not necessarily that his predictions are bad, it's that they have two sides to them. It's just that Abuela tends to focus on one side of the coin as opposed to both. So I like Bruno, especially in the fact that because the family treated him like a literal black sheep, he had to live in the walls of the house, and he had to befriend rats, and like he's the weird anti-Snow White, where he's friends with all of the woodland creatures that live in the house, but he's not necessarily cooking and cleaning and all of that, and he's not perceived as like this princess and wonderful and everything. No, he's perceived as like a cancer upon the family. There's no better way to say it. So I actually liked Bruno's perception, and ultimately that he wasn't that. He's actually very much like Mirabelle. He wanted to keep the family together. What's another positive for you?
Well, I liked Bruno too, I mean, at least, Mirabelle was willing to go and find him and try to,
yeah,
figure out what the whole...
I will say his room made me think of like Prince of Persia because like the reference to it is like the sands of time. And so at that point, like it was, and especially the fact that he'd been living in the walls for so long, the sand had kind of overwhelmed his room. So you didn't get to see like a bed or anything like that. It was just a place of hourglasses and stuff like that. So I tend to agree with you. I like Bruno. So your other positive is Bruno. I tended to also like Isabel, but only once we found out that she had that weird love of cacti. Like, she hated all the flowers that she had to make. Like, her room is strewn in flowers, and she hated that. And I think especially the thing that she hated was that she had to come down on, like, a flower swing all the time. And then she discovers cacti, and it's just like, oh, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And now she wants to do nothing but. And even though Abuela sees that as horrible, well, I mean, there is beauty in cacti. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but like in a lot of video games, you have a lot of really cool cacti formations, and they can come out in weird and interesting colors. I liked it. I like that they did that. And ultimately, the sisterly rivalry that her and Mirabelle have is what led her to this discovery, and thus they love each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give that. Any other positives?
No.
Okay, negatives. Shall I start this, as I'm usually Mr. Negative on this podcast, as a few people have pointed out to me. My first negative is the songs. This is a Disney film, especially a Disney animated film. And so in a lot of cases, one of the things we think about is like all the memorable music that comes from movies like this. Previously before Encanto were movies like Moana and Frozen, where the music is very memorable. The songs aren't very memorable in this. They're just kind of meh.
I didn't hate the songs too much.
I don't hate them, but am I going to go out of my way to go look for them on YouTube to listen to them? No. That's the difference. Like, I will go out of my, like, especially with the kids, because the kids love Disney music. I will go out of my way and go look for Frozen music, or I'll go look for Moana music. I remember in one of the playlists after we had watched this, I saw the Louisa song in there, and I skipped it because I didn't see a point in putting it on. It was either I play that one or I play Poco Loco from Coco, and I picked Poco Loco because the music is way more memorable in Coco than it is here. And so that to me is a little bit of a negative, because when you think of Disney films, especially Disney animated films, you think of memorable music. And that's one thing I can't say about this film. What's a negative for you, Andrea?
It drove me crazy when Abuela was being so hard on Maribel for being different.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is a big negative for me. Abuela as a character is very negative for me, because a lot of it is based around she doesn't want her, like, she wished to keep her family together, to keep them alive, especially since the thing that kind of sparks this is she lost her husband and she was stricken with grief. So she didn't want to lose anybody else, and thus this enchantment happened. And she just cannot let these people be who they are. It drove me crazy throughout. Like, you remember when we were watching this, I hated when she was on screen. I even hated at the end when she kind of realized that, yeah, she was the problem, and she needs to have faith in her family that they will stay together, and thus becomes the good guy again. And I'm like, no, screw it. She might as well be fucking Jafar in this film, because she has created all of these problems. And I'm sorry, but you can't just forgive that. You know, it's a long road of forgiveness there. Especially when you screwed up so many of these family members so badly. Louisa being a perfect example of that. Bruno being another perfect example of that. Yeah, Abuela drove me crazy, but I kind of talked over to you. What was it about Abuela you didn't like?
Well, she just seemed like she was like always giving Maribel a hard time, because Maribel was only trying to help keep the family together, and she
especially when you saw the memory where she kept her very close, and then after they found out she didn't have a power, she started pushing her away. Mm-hmm. It's like, that's an interesting message to send your family. If you don't have powers, you suck, and therefore don't deserve my love. No, I'm not kidding. That's the message that Abuela sends.
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny is Coco did this better. Coco did this better, did it not? Because I can't. No, it was Grandma Coco. It was Coco was the great grandma, and then the grandma, who was the abuela, she was the one who hated music and thus didn't want music anywhere around around Miguel. She didn't want music anywhere around, and then ultimately, much like what's the matriarch of the family's name?
I don't know.
She was dead. When she realizes that lesson, then ultimately, the current abuela, Coco's daughter, learns that lesson. And in my opinion, it's done better in Coco.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since it's not really the focus of anything. It centers more around Miguel's love of music and not understanding why he can't follow it. But Abuela takes center stage in most of this film. And she's not a good character. Mm-hmm. It's not just that she's got these problems. She's also just not a good written character. She's kind of like that stereotypical puritanical parent that we grew up in the 90s about, you know? And so she's a big problem in this film. I tend to agree with you on that, but I talked over you again. Anything else you want to add on Abuela?
That's it.
Okay, any other negatives you want to put in? Because my second was going to be Abuela. I do not like her. So go ahead and go next.
No, I don't have anything else.
Okay. yeah, so I didn't like the music. I didn't like Abuela because of how she treats certain family members. I thought that, and overall, because of all of this stuff, my third one is just the overall message that this movie sends. Again, Coco did it better because every member of the family is unique, even when they all just make shoes for a living. They all are unique, and they all have personalities that we can all love, whether they be alive or dead. And the whole purpose of this film is saying, if you're unique in any way, shape, or form, you need to stop that! You need to be as uniform as you could possibly be.
And it's just really sad that, like, all the rest of the family members want to try and be their own individual, but they cannot. Because...
well, because Louisa is so super strong, like, she's off going and solving all of the strength-related problems of the village, right? That's her service.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the things I noticed with Isabel was she was engaged during this film, and that also was kind of a wedge between her and Mirabelle, is that, you know, she's the pretty one of the family, and thus she's engaged. And when she discovers cacti and stuff like that, you kind of get the impression that maybe she doesn't want to get married to this person, and that it's been arranged by Abuela, and that's the only reason she's doing it.
And it's just funny by the end of the movie.
Which is funny because, I can't remember their names, but the shapeshifter and the one that controls the weather, they're married within the family. And that one's totally fine. And they're a fine little couple. They have their own quirks. The shapeshifter is more of a prankster, and the one who controls the weather is overly emotional about everything. Like she's when she feels an emotion, she goes to 11 on all of it. And so in a lot of cases, she's like a pro wrestling character. She really is. But that one was totally fine. But no, Isabel had to stay in line. And she had to do her arranged marriage because that was part of her service, remember? That was the service to the village. Because it kept their bond with the village going. And it was annoying as hell. And so the message that this overall sends is don't be unique. Always fulfill your familial duties, whatever they may be, whether or not you disagree with them. That's not the message to send. Again, Coco did it better.
And it's just funny by the end that everyone's like, oh, we could just accept Bruno back into the family.
Yeah.
And
whereas if I was Bruno, I'd be throwing middle fingers left and right. You guys exiled me to the inside of the walls. Nah, this is going to take like 10 different birthday banquets to fix, buddy. That'd be me. But Bruno, I think, was just happy to be accepted again.
Oh yeah.
And he was happy to not be this
bitter
dark cloud around the family. So again, the overall message of this film just isn't great. So we've gone over the good, we've gone over the bad. Overall, what would you give out of 5 for Encanto?
I'd probably give it a 3.5.
3.5, okay. And your reasoning for the 3.5?
It was a pretty good average, movie, and
okay,
just some stuff that would probably be like it just drive me crazy, but at the same time it was enjoyable.
See, that's heartening to hear, because when we watch these movies, guys, she's very much kind of keeps her feelings close to the vest. And so at that point, she just laughs at me because I overreact on stuff, because like I do feel passionate about it when I watch stories like this. So the fact that you just kind of see, it was okay. That's heartening to me. I, however, am going to give it a 2, because to me, an okay is a 2. 3 is good, and I can't say that about this film. It's just okay. It's nothing amazing or out of the ordinary or anything like that. And like I said, there's another Hispanic film that Disney Pixar has that does it way better, and that one is an easy 4 or 5 out of 5 for me. So at that point, yeah, I have to give this a 2. It's just okay. And so that pretty much wraps things up. I wish that there was more to say about this, but there really isn't. I have a feeling that we'll be going into more of these Disney Plus only film releases, just because, there are a few that we actually want to see to see if they'd be good for the kids. That's an interesting way to. So we watched this ultimately to see if it was good for the kids to watch. What's your verdict on that? Do you have a problem with the girls watching Encanto?
I wouldn't have a problem with them watching it if they are interested in it.
I think for what they would be interested in, it'd be fine, because all they would see is like people with magic powers. But the overall message and moral of the story, I'd show them Coco over this. I really would. I'd show a bunch of other films. I'd probably even show Moana over this, because I think it does the family narrative better. Do I have a problem with them watching it? No, but that's just because I don't think that they're really going to care about the moral of the story or anything like that. And when they actually start to care about that, then there are other movies to watch.
Then we'll cross that bridge.
Yeah. So I think that'll go ahead and do it for Encanto. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this, and yet another vacation film is done. We could finally get to the last two, which was all three of us, by the way. So me and myself, Andrea and Alex took on the last two films, and I think we're just going to go in order. So when we come back, you guys will be able to join us for Ghostbusters: The Frozen Empire. So we look forward to seeing you there. But if you are brand spanking new and listening to this on YouTube, welcome. We're happy to have you. Leave a comment down below. Let us know what you thought of Encanto. Is Drax smoking crack because of the way that he feels about Abuela? Feel free to leave a comment down below. Leave a like. It definitely helps us out with the algorithms and whatnot. And if you're following on podcast platforms, you can follow us on Amazon Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Player.fm, as well as Spotify. And check out all of those. Please leave a review. Please leave a comment or a review on the podcast. We definitely appreciate those as well. And we will see you guys next time. For myself, for Andrea, and for Alex, taking on Ghostbusters: The Frozen Empire. Will it be as good as Afterlife? I guess you'll have to find out. Until then, I will do nothing but talk about Bruno. I will talk about Bruno. Bruno for life, bitches.